Welcome everyone. I'm Santosh representing Vedabi Global Services, a specialist in providing support and services in BI and EPM space. We provide pre-sale support, health checkup and optimization, installation configuration, upgrade migration, support and maintenance, end-to-end implementation. Here is the agenda for webinar today. I'll be covering topics which come under planning application administration. So the topics, as you can see in the slide, such as creating application from the application administration, managing the applications, managing data sources, working with alias tables, dimensions, setting up dynamic time series members, working with applications that use the planning application administration, and using smart list UDAs and member formulas in planning. So I'll be mostly covering topics relative to the classic planning applications. So how can we create a planning application? So we have planning application wizard, which is used for creating the applications. So that wizard contains certain uh, tabs which will be like calendar, currencies, plan types. So in calendar, generally there will be two things that needs to be defined before creating an application, which are period and the year dimension. So period will generally be in terms of months, quarters, or even it can be in weeks. So that is about period, and secondly it's about the year dimension, which is generally a fiscal year. So that needs to be said before we create a planning application. So about currency, like a planning application can be there across different countries. So it comes to the different currencies that those countries would be having. So we have to take that particular consideration before creating the application. So and if we have multiple currencies for the application, that particular option needs to be specified while the application creation. About the plan type is a kind of a planning model which technically is an space cube, and we'll just look into further slides. So this is the option you will be able to see inside enterprise performance management workspace. So if you see under administrator here, planning administration is something option which can bring up the administration menu. So this is the screenshot of a planning application creation wizard, wherein we can see different tabs as discussed: calendar, currency, plan types. So this is, for example, a particular sample planning application is there, for which there are three plan types being defined. So one is for balance sheet, second for income statement, and the third one is for revenue. So once we define this particular parameters, and if we create the database, it looks like how it's looking on the right side, highlighted here on the SBS side. So plan 1 could be the application name that being defined in this wizard, and as we define the plan types, there will be the SBS cubes or SBS database being created on the SBS side. So how do we manage these applications? So there are several different options inside planning and administration. So we just looked into how can we create applications. So similarly we can delete the applications from the a wizard or manage applications option in planning administration. So we just have to select delete. There should be a red cross to delete particular application. And third one is about registering the application, which we can have to register in shared services. So shared services is a common security framework being designed for the EPM application. So here we need to define particular application group. For example, Hyperion planning, here we defined application group as with the name planning. And if we want to work with the centralized security like in EPM 11 versions, that application needs to be created, and that will get updated in the application group listing inside shared services. So managing data sources. So every planning application must be associated with a data source which links the relational database and the SBS server. So when we talk about a planning application, it stores its artifacts or data in uh, two different databases. So one is the relational and second one is multidimensional, which is SBS here. So basically planning runs on top of SBS for calculation capabilities. Every single planning application needs a separate and individual relational database or schema. Planning applications cannot share databases or schema, and we cannot use the planning system database. So that means that a particular planning application needs to have a single database or schema. So the database will be in case of the SQL server, and schema or user will be in case of Oracle database. So dedicatedly they need to be assigned to the planning applications. So every new planning application would need a new data source before creating that particular planning application. So this is the screenshot how we can create a data source or how we can manage the data source. So as we can see, two different options like application database and SBS server here. So we have to once we create particular schema or database, we have to provide the details here, and once we provide the details, we can just validate the connection, and it shows as the connection successful if all parameters are correct and the database is up and running. For the SBS side, we similarly validate the connection providing the details, and the SBS service needs to be up and running. So we'll move with some other artifacts or objects related to planning application. So this is about alias tables. So alias are nothing but alternative names to planning account, currency, entity, scenario, period, version, year, or some user defined dimension members. So aliases are something which simplify or make the planning application members presentable or understandable. Planning allows up to 32 aliases per dimension member, including the default alias. We can create, edit, copy, clear alias table from the administration, which is a option in menu. We can see that in workspace, and we'll be able to find under manage the option as alias tables, and you cannot delete the default alias tables. And how is it about dimensions? So by default there are 7 dimensions that get included with planning application, so which are account, entity, scenario, version, period, year, and currency. So there will be two additional currency or two additional standard dimensions will get included in application if the application is a multi-currency application. And a planning application supports maximum 13 user defined custom dimension inside the application. Planning designates the account and period dimension as dense and the remaining dimensions as sparse. Dimension hierarchies define structural and mathematical relationships and consolidations between members in the database. To edit, add, search, move, delete dimensions and members, we can find that option under administration, manage, and under manage it will be the dimension. Planning includes two custom dimensions which are account and entity. So dynamic time series. So how can we set up dynamic time series on members? So dynamic time series members can be used to create reports that show period to date data such as quarter to date expenses. So DTS is not supported for the period dimension in an ASO application. So DTS is something like which can be used to retrieve a data from particular time dimension member like quarter, like month or year. So year to date, quarter to date. So there are 8 possibilities that DTS can make available in a planning application. So to set up DTS, you need to enable a predefined DTS member and associate it with a generation number. Like for example, to calculate quarter to date values, you can enable the QTD member and associate it with generation number 2. So likewise we can calculate year to date, so which will depend upon the QTD number, and if year to date is the case, we'll be associating YTD with the generation number 3. Your data and database outline determine which members you can use for period to date reporting. So as we discussed, like it will depend on the planning application design. So if it's having some more granularity like weeks, so we can have week to date DTS functionality. So we'll look into some applications that use planning application administration. So Oracle Hyperion Planning comes with certain utilities which are used by administrators for various purposes. So first one is like cube refresh utility, which is used for creating or refreshing the database. So this utility, if we want to run, Oracle recommends that you should back up the application before creating or refreshing, because sometimes if there are some changes that are going to affect the application and existing factors or objects like data or functionality, you should have a backup of the application. If a level 0 member in the database outline is set to dynamic calc or dynamic calc and store, planning successfully creates or refreshes even if the members are not associated with a member formula. Before refreshing application databases in planning, remove the partition definitions. This prevents overwriting the SBase partitions or corrupting the SBase database. After refreshing, you can redefine the SBase partitions. Planning sort member utility is one of the utility that is used for sorting the dimensions for a planning application. So only administrator can run this sort member utility. And there is one more utility, that is delete shared descendant, which is used to delete shared dimension members that are descendants of a given member. So this utility again can be run by only administrators. So this is about smart list, UDAs, and member formulas associated with the planning application. So using smart list, users or planners select items from top-down list instead of entering data. So this is something, a feature which is there in planning, wherein the planner or end user can select options or different values as a drop down. So which is nothing but smart list, and it gets partially stored at the relational database, and the numeric value gets passed to the SBase side. For applications that use planning application administration that map smart list to dimensions in reporting applications, you can synchronize smart list in the planning application. So we have the feature of synchronizing smart list through the planning administration, and this identifies dimensions in reporting application to which smart lists are mapped and adds level 0 members of the selected dimension as new smart list entries to the selected smart list. So we'll be able to find this synchronize option under application option, which should be under menu, and after that under manage and smart list. Also, if we talk about use UDAs, which are user defined attributes, you can use the HSP underscore UDF to prevent a formula from being overwritten when the application is refreshed. So you can find that under application manage dimensions, and you need to select that particular member with which the UDA is being assigned or associated, and you have to click edit there. You can define member formulas to combine operators, calculation functions, dimension and member names, and numeric constants to perform calculation on members. Thank you for participating in the webinar. We will look forward to see you again in upcoming webinars for Vedabi Global Services. Please contact us for any query related to BI or EPM. The email and mobile numbers are available on our website under Contact Us page. Have a great time.